Well, hello there and welcome back. This is episode 57 of my Minecraft 1.16 Let's Play. I'm at the gold farm that we fixed in the last episode, and I've AFK'd to generate just a ridiculous amount of gold nuggets. There's actually another chest full over there, just tons of gold nuggets, and I wanted to show something that's a little bit cheaty but also super useful, and it really only makes a really tedious process go a lot faster, and I really had to show it off because it's just so cool. Oops. I mean, that is amazingly fast. I'm crafting all of these in nuggets and throwing them down on the ground in just a few key presses. This is using a mod. It's by the same mod author as Lightmatica and Tweakaroo and Mini HUD. It's called Item Scroller, and it's pretty useful. And so what it does is there's quite a bit that it does do. So one of them is that you can use the scroll wheel. So if I hold shift in the scroll wheel, it will move one stack at a time. If I just hold the scroll wheel, it'll move one item at a time. And if I do alt in the scroll wheel, it'll move all the items. Like that. So that's pretty cool on its own. So the alt and the scroll wheel is what I was using to grab all the items. And then it also has a crafting interface. So if I close this right here, then I hold down the A button, I've got this right here. And so if I wanted to create a new recipe, I'd create a recipe over here. And then I'd hold down the A button and I'd middle click on this output item right here. And I've created a recipe. And so now the default button for this is Control-Alt-C. And it will use whatever's in my inventory to craft as many of those as possible and then drop them on the ground. So I've stepped back a little bit so I'm not automatically picking those up. And I just do the same thing over and over again. And man, this just really speeds up the process. Like I said, it is definitely a little cheaty, but man, I don't know if I could do all this without all this. So it's definitely a really cool feature. So use it if you want to. It's up to you to decide if you think it's too cheaty. I think it's just fine for the most part, but I would definitely understand the argument that it's a little bit over the edge. So I've been using that gold to AFK here at my bartering farm, and I noticed a little issue that I never noticed before, and I'm pretty sure it didn't exist before because I tested this thing extensively when I built it, and I would have noticed this because it happens pretty early. You can see items are just staying there, and they're not getting pushed when this one fires, and I'm not sure exactly why that happens, but I'm pretty sure it has to do with the new version because, like I said, I tested this for many hours when I built it, and this happens almost immediately when you start running this machine, and it's losing items, and that's pretty bad. It also starts to lag out the computer after a little while because you've got item entities just sitting around. Let's see if we can actually get up there. So I went into creative and I figured out a fairly simple fix here. Alright, so what I can do here is I can put trapdoors right here, and I actually need to also remove a lamp because otherwise I'm at push limit. And then come over here and do the same thing. It's only happening on this lower row. I really don't know what's going on here. I am noticing that they're bouncing a lot more. I don't remember that happening before. I'll have to check my wither farm as well to make sure that that's not happening there. But I don't think that one matters as much because that's only pushing at 1 block, whereas this one is actually trying to push them 2 blocks. I think it's just this special configuration that I add here. And so now the trapdoors are actually pushing any items that land on the sea lantern here. And then the slime itself is still be able to push the blocks that land on the trapdoor. And that should fix the issue so that I'm not losing items anymore. So I actually removed the wrong lamp. These lamps are actually here for a pretty important reason, and that's to keep mobs from spawning on these slime blocks. So I think that it has to be this lamp and the middle lamp here, because otherwise the light level in there would have been below 12. If you got this lamp here, then these are 12 and 13, and they should be fine, and you shouldn't get zombie pigmen spawning on there, which would be kind of annoying. So we want this lamp over here, and not the lamp down there. So that should be correct now. Alright, I've been bartering with these piglins for a while. And this actually isn't even enough nether quartz. I need 9 shulker boxes of quartz blocks in order to finish the ring in the end. But I'm probably going to do some trading for that because, I mean, this nether quartz is actually pretty precious and I'm going to want to keep a decent amount of it. But I didn't want to have to trade for it all, so I might make 4 or 5 shulker boxes of quartz blocks and save the rest of it for various observers and things like that. But I've also got, that's obsidian, I don't really care about that, but tons of crying obsidian, that's pretty awesome. And then I ended up getting so much gravel that I needed to pull it off to the side. So I've got almost 2 double chests of gravel, and the same thing for blackstone. This is just a massive amount of blackstone, and to a lesser degree nether brick and soul sand I also had to pull off to the side. So definitely some awesome bartering that's been done here. Oh, and I've got 5 double chests of, these are just Soul Speed 3 books, and I think this is the 5th one, and then I've got some in this one as well as a bunch of junk. But that's probably more, I might start actually discarding the unstackable items at this point. But yeah, definitely a lot of bartering has been done here. I'm a little bit upset. This was going to be our next project right here. This is a Mango's 1.8K dark oak tree farm. I've actually been planning on building this for a really, really long time. If you go into the material list for this thing, it is absolutely ridiculous. 13 shulker boxes of white concrete, 9 shulker boxes of smooth stone, 4 shulker boxes of obsidian, pretty small by our normal comparisons. But this is one of the areas we were planning on spending some of our obsidian. 3 shulker boxes of observers, that's 6 shulker boxes of redstone dust required to craft those. 2 shulker boxes of redstone repeaters, that's another 6 shulker boxes of redstone dust. Another 2 shulker boxes of just raw redstone dust. 2 shulker boxes of sticky pistons, that's 2 more shulker boxes of redstone dust. 2 shulker boxes of slime blocks, it just keeps going on. That's actually most of the expensive resources right there, but I've been working on this thing through the weekend and it just keeps breaking. I'm not sure this was ever meant as like a serious farm. He kind of made it as a joke upload. I know it's supposed to work, but I've not found it to be super reliable. And it's so complex that when it breaks catastrophically. And I think we're going to have to scrap this. And I think we're going to have to scrap it permanently. I don't think we're ever going to be able to build this. I had some big ideas. We were going to build this into like an offshore like rig kind of thing, like make it look like a rig offshore. And none of that's going to come to fruition. And I spent a weekend frustrated. That's when I have the most time to work on things. And I've got very little to show for it. So that's unfortunate. We're going to have to pick another big project. The other big project we have planned, we're actually going to table that for a couple weeks until Asta gets a little more time. I still want to build a dark oak farm. I got a few other ideas. Not in this episode. I'm kind of running out of time in this episode because I spent so much time on this. But we will definitely, I want to get a dark oak tree farm working at some point in the future. Just unfortunately, it's probably not going to be this one. And I really wanted it to be. Despite that setback, I'd like to work on the Obsidian Bank here and hopefully get that finished up in this episode. So I've got all the obsidian dumped out into shulker boxes for the most part. This one loader right here stalled out, so this one's still going, but all the rest of these are actually done. So these aren't moving at all. So we've got some partial shulker boxes here that I'm going to have to consolidate. Then we've got a bunch of obsidian down in these chests here, and then we've got these 18 double chests. A double chest of shulker boxes of items that stack to 64 is a little less than 100,000 items. So this is about 1.7, 1.8 million items right here. And then we've got all the rest of the obsidian in these chests over here. So definitely a ton of obsidian. So what I want to do here is I want to change around the whole configuration so that we have rows of double chests, and the double chests are meant for storing shulker boxes of items instead of just the raw items. So that way we can store one item per row, and if we go all the way up to the top, it should store about 2.3, 2.4 million items per row. So obsidian is going to be one of those rows, and then I would like to bring in the shulker shells and have those, and then the bartering items. I think we're going to end up with a ton of those. I already have a ton. So gravel, blackstone, soul sand, probably even nether brick. And then over here we've got crops that we've got a whole bunch of, sugarcane and bamboo, pumpkin and melon. I think it'd be pretty useful to have those as well. And then probably bring in more items as we end up getting lots and lots of other types of items. I was hoping to add dark oak and apples to that list in this episode, but hopefully soon. But, you know, that's kind of the idea, to have a central location where we can store the items that we have a whole lot of. The baseline is like 100,000 of that item or more. So a double chest at least of shulker boxes is the baseline for when an item will qualify for being in the Obsidian Bank. So that's the idea. So what I need to do is I need to tear all this out and build a new storage system. This actually ended up being a pretty big build. It's not as big as the actual Obsidian Bank itself, the outside of the building, but I basically gutted the whole building and then built it all right back up. And there's a lot of redstone in here. So down here, we've got a Shulker Box Dispenser system. So we've got Shulker Boxes down here that you can grab individual items out if you want. And if they become empty, it will crack that Shulker Box. There's a row of hoppers right under this carpet right there that they'll get pushed onto. And that will collect them, send them to a chest over there. And then it will dispense out another one. And this is the same system I'm using in my base for my bulk storage. It's my modification of Pala's design. Pala had a great design, but it held a bunch of filled shulkers in the dropper and hopper in between this chest and this shulker box right here. So I modified the design. I might want to see if I can modify it again and get that chest down one block lower. I wasn't able to originally, but maybe I can experiment it with some more, because it would be nice. It's kind of hard to reach up there. It might be nice to make that modification. But up here, we've got the actual filled shulker boxes. And here we got shulker shells and shulker shells down here. So that's kind of nice. And you can see there's a light system up here. So let's go up there. So this is row. This actually used to be like a carpeted floor. And I just like, on a whim, I'm like, hey, maybe if I got rid of that and then I added in the glass, I think it looks pretty good. And then it actually lets you see the lights from down there. And basically, it's just, you know, comparators every other block that points into the light system. So this first light right here signifies a little over 100,000 items. And then each additional light there is about two other double chests. So about another 200,000 items. So right now it's signaling 1.9 million. When you add up the hoppers, we should still have over 2 million obsidian. But yeah, so that's kind of a cool feature that we can do that. It's a little dark up here. There wasn't really anywhere else I could put lights midway through it. So if we don't have items, it's going to be a little dark in some of these spots. But I don't think that's really a big deal. It kind of actually makes it look kind of cool. And then if we go, I have to actually go down this one and then go up over onto this side. And we see the actual top. And here we have Pala's shulker box sorter. So it will actually take shulker boxes in that chest right there, which comes up from a water line. We've got a chest down there that spits it into there, sends it up here, and then it will take one item out of that shulker box and then send it through a chain. And then there's sorters here. So this is the sorter for the shulker shells. This is the sorter for the obsidian. And so as soon as it finds it, it will release the shulker box at the same time. The shulker box will get dispensed, and then that item will flow back into it, and it will get crushed and sent down into the row. It's a very cool system. So we can actually see that working. I've got some obsidian here that I haven't put into the system yet. So it all goes into this chest right here, and then we can send our way up there, and we can watch it happen. And you can see there's the water line where they're coming in. and they get dispensed and then crushed. And then over here, you can see that it's actually found it. It's so quick, you can barely even see it happening, but it dispenses the shulker box for just a second. The item actually does make it back in there, and it gets crushed and sent down into that system right there. Very cool. I'll put a link to Pala Shulker Box sorting system in the description down below. And also I did a world download when I did my storage system. And so I'll put a link to that one down below. That's got the modified version of the Shulker Box sorting system. And for good measure, I'll put a Lightmatica template of this entire building in the description down there as well, in case you're curious how it all comes together. There's still a bit of cleanup that I need to do. We've got some random shulker boxes full of just crazy items just sitting here, and then I've got all this, which is just empty shulker boxes. There is an option in Carpet Mod that allows you to stack empty shulker boxes. Let me know if you think we should go with that or not. If you think it might be unbalanced, or if you think it's fine. I'm kind of curious. I think it will probably be fine. There's definitely some benefits though. It makes it a lot easier to load up shulker box loaders, but then at the same time, if you have hopper chains, then it gets a lot more expensive. But when you're dealing with this many shulker boxes, it almost feels like it's kind of necessary because it gets out of control pretty quickly. So the next thing I wanted to do was to go to my sugarcane farm and my melon and pumpkin farm and modify the sorting system, the storage system for that. So it's got some faster loaders, so we can get all the items out of those and put them here. And I still think that will be interesting, but I don't want to spend all episode working on that. So I'm going to push that back to later. And there's one other thing that I want to do. So we've got this secret basement downstairs. If I come down here, the whole shulker box dispensing system actually pushed this down one block, so I need to make a modification to the floor and drop this a block. But we've got all this iron here that was supposed to be lapis, and we still haven't gotten that lapis, and I want to do something about that. Before I do that, I want to rave about Item Scroller a little bit more. It's great for making chests, first of all. I mean, that's just amazing, but it shores up the biggest deficiency in crafting and Minecraft that there is, period, and that is dispensers. So I went to go accumulate all the materials for that building that I was just doing, and it took almost 2 stacks of dispensers, and I groaned audibly when I realized that. And then I thought about Item Scroller, and I realized, wait a second, can I use that to make dispensers a little bit easier? And yes, I can. So if we go ahead and set that recipe right there, and we go ahead and auto-craft all those, now we got a bunch of bows on the ground. So then I need to pick up like one of them, and then I need to make the recipe here. I actually need to switch first. This one. There we go. And I go ahead and I make the recipe here. Put the bow in, put this in, set that, and I can stand on this, and then I can just hold down the button, and it's just going to craft them all. And I just made a stack of dispensers in seconds. I don't know if I can go back. That's amazing. I think it's time to build an overworld tunnel bore. I've got diamond blocks on my list of items that I want to get a shulker box of, and I also want to get a whole bunch of lapis blocks, and that's the best way to get both of them. And I've got this area that I've already done a whole bunch of digging for, like stone and cobblestone and dirt, so it's already kind of a mess. It's a few thousand blocks away from my base, so shouldn't really run into anything. And I've already got a beacon here, so that should help me clear out the area down here. I've got the mob switch on, so everything should be pretty smooth sailing. Shouldn't have any trouble whatsoever. This should hopefully be a lot easier than the one that I set up in the Nether. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to go. Let's find out. Alright, pretty smooth sailing setting this thing up. Definitely a lot easier with a mob switch on. Although, this thing has lights on it in order to keep mobs from spawning near it, and also to help with lighting, but I don't know if it's reasonably possible to operate this thing without a mob switch. Like, yeah, this controls mobs spawning near it, but there's plenty of other places for mobs to spawn, and controlling the light in the entire area just doesn't seem possible, and creepers can just walk up to it, blow up, and it could be very, very bad. I don't know if there's any reasonable way that this thing could be done without a mob switch. It just doesn't seem like it would work very well. But we have one, so I built it up, and I'm really glad I do have one. And we'll just go ahead and drink another night vision potion here so we can see everything really well. And I did a schematic verification, and this is the cleanest bill of health I have ever gotten on a schematic verification on the first try. So the note block is in the wrong state. We've got a torch and some shulker boxes where they're not supposed to be. That's all normal stuff. And then we're missing 2 birch signs, 3 birch signs, which are just to tell you that the obsidian blocks need to be removed. There's nothing, no wrong blocks, no wrong states, nothing. This is, it seems like I actually built it perfect on the first try, and that never happens. So we've got a couple of obsidian blocks here that we need to remove. And those are where the birch signs would have gone, and then there's 2 more on the other side. And I'm hoping this thing is going to work on the first try. That would be pretty awesome. So you can see here, there's where the birch signs would have been. It says, remove obsidian block on sign before starting. I never placed the sign, because why place the sign? Like, yeah, all right, there we go. And the last one. And let's find out if this thing's going to work on the first try. I think so. I think actually we should be pretty good. I built this thing before. And, oh yeah, on the first try it doesn't actually, it just moves the TNT into place. It doesn't actually fire it. On the second try, we should actually get TNT. Yep. Looks good. And we're going to run it a few times because there's quite a big gap between these. So we're not actually blowing anything up just yet. So we'll run it a few times. Make sure everything's working right. And according to Il Mango, we should get about 300 diamond ore per hour, which is about a little over twice as fast as regular beacon mining. So that's pretty awesome. It's still going to take a while to get a whole bunch of diamond blocks, because that's about 660 diamond per hour, just regular diamond. And so it would take about 3 hours to fill a shulker box. So it would take about 19 hours. So it'll be quite a while. I should get the lapis pretty quickly, because you get so much lapis per Fortune 3 lapis ore. So that shouldn't be a problem. But I use Vanilla Tweaks to get their visible ore texture pack here. And I actually just took out all the coal ore, and I just went into the zip file and I removed the textures for coal and redstone and iron and gold, because I don't really care about any of that. I might grab the redstone when I see it, but I'm not, if I would waste so much time trying to grab all the redstone, it would take so long. I mean, it would be nice to get some extra redstone because my witch farm isn't super fast, but I'm not going to waste a bunch of time worrying about it too much. So we just got to scan back and forth after every blow up, and I will grab this redstone that's right here and check to see if we uncovered any diamond or lapis. And I might have to change the texture on that, because that lapis was not super obvious. I think the diamond is more obvious, but everything seems to be working pretty well. I never had something like this work this well on the first try, and I definitely need to make sure to get rid of any lava or water that pours down like this. This is going to be a problem. It's going to stop everything from blowing up, and that's why I've got fire resistance potions, just in case I do something stupid like I just walked through lava. Alright, there we go. Had to run this about 20 times before I found my first diamonds, but there they are. And it's a pretty quick process. I mean, you really just have to hit this thing and then fly across and scan the area and hit it again. It's a lot easier than the one in the nether, where you might run into big pools of lava. Very unlikely to have that happen. It does happen from time to time that you might get a lava stream that's falling down, or water that's falling down, or obsidian and stuff like that, but for the most part, you just kind of scan back and forth. So I'm going to do this a few hours between episodes, but I have run out of time. in today's episode. So the next episode is actually going to be a few days later than normal because September 5th is the 1 year anniversary of jCraft and my YouTube channel. So I want to do a very special episode, and it's going to come out on September 5th, which is a little more than a week from now. So I'm going to spend a little extra time and try to make the episode as special as possible. I've got some big things planned, and hopefully they work out well, unlike the Dark Oak Tree Farm. But until then, I want to thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope to see you on September 5th for a 1 year anniversary. Thanks for watching. Bye now.